Hey everyone, Josh here. So today's video is going to be a little different than what I normally do. This one's going to be how to turn your $1,000 TDI into a $500 TDI with a hood stack. So we're going to go over a few things that you need. You obviously need some piping, some flanges, all that good stuff. You're going to need a welder, I guess a transverse ALH is handy to have too. A BEW will work with some modifications that we'll cover off here soon. You're gonna need a hood to cut a hole in. Bonus points if it's a different color than what your existing car is. So then when you get tired of killing yourself with diesel exhaust, you can put your factory hood back on, as well as your factory exhaust, and I guess save the environment. So let's get into it. So since hood stacks are used on race cars, you gotta make your TDI into a race car, I guess, with a race pipe. And obviously you gotta remove some unnecessary parts. This is off of BEW, but you understand what I'm saying. So here's a PD150 race pipe. Here's just a straight ALH race pipe. The BEW intake is too bulky. You're not gonna have enough room to fit it between the firewall. So yeah, which route you decide to go is up to you. So once you got a race pipe, next thing you'll need is some piping. So I've got the flange, 2" to 2.5" reducer, bunch of miscellaneous pipe. So that's a 180, that's a 90. That's a 60, I guess. And then just, I don't know if we need a flex pipe or not, and then just some straight pipe. So the nice part about the using the Lyle stainless exhaust is they give you lots of extra material to work with on your mandrel bends here, but I need a little less or else it's going to be on top of the transmission before we know it. So we're going to cut that off. I don't have the most well-equipped garage, so we're going to use the chop saw here and then see how square that ends up, and then might have to touch that up. So here we got it. Some nice clearance between the AC lines there, and quite a bit of clearance there as well. I think I'm gonna reroute where this hose goes, but it's not the end of the world. So the next thing, I've got this 45, which doesn't fit in there very nice. So chunk of straight pipe is actually pretty close, but it hits the body there. So the plan is just to take I don't know, just a slight little angle cut on a piece of straight pipe, kind of get it up, not quite that high, and then my extra piece of pie here, go like that, and that should be pretty well level. And then I just weld on a piece here and just go straight up out the hood. So we're gonna get a piece cut up. and tack that on. So here's the setup, just kind of tacked together on the bench here. So I'm gonna leave the slip joint because it makes it a lot easier to install it. I guess a V-band would be ideal, but this is what I've got. This angle's a lot different on my car. It's a different turbo as well, but that's basically that. So that should be pretty straight up and down on mine. So we've got a 90 or a 180 to the reducer to the turbo. Got a 90 here. This piece was just off cut like 5 degrees or so. This piece of pie here was 9-degree cut times 2, so it's 20 degrees, and then that should in the car be straight up and down. So that's how it kind of supposed to look. So we'll get that all welded up and then see how it fits. So I'm just letting this purge right now. I kind of got that throttled back a little bit, so when I turn my TIG torch on, I don't know, it's not really an exact science. I might have to play around it with a little bit. The other option, you can use Solar Flux Type B, I think. So it's a paste, you'd smear it on each joint on the inside, and then you'd weld on your outside, obviously. And that paste would basically make a protective barrier of your weld, and that'll stop it from oxidizing and getting the sugaring effect. So I guess gonna weld the flange and weld this shitty connection first, and then I guess save the best for last. So here it's together in all its glory. Maybe one day I'll be a good TIG welder, but today definitely is not that day. I think it should hold. But anyways, so I want to do some fairly precise measurements, just to kind of help you out on your own if you're making one. So this is a factory BEW turbo, the VNT 15s, VNT 17s, the 1722s, all these small frame turbos are all the manifolds kind of the same, so it should all be the same. I have a 1722 in here, and as I just said, that's a BEW, so that's yeah, that just kind of proves the point. So as far as the bend, it's about 7 inches or so off of the turbo face. As I said earlier, you've got a coolant line that comes up here to your heater core, and you've also got your shifter cables that kind of come through there. So you've got to kind of fish it in between there. There's a look. You can see the head's right here, and your block would be in this empty space. So it kind of curves up a little bit and over to here. I don't know how to make a precise measurement on this one. I tried to aim close to this race pipe. You have a nice flat spot here, at least on this PD 150 intake. If you go too far this way, you've got your rubber coupler. I was kind of afraid of melting it. So that's basically up and then out. I think that should be a straight 90 on my car. I don't know why it's out so much on this test stand. So that's going to come up get a good light here. That's going to come up right up in through here, so that's going to be between your turbo intake and your AC lines. The other possible spot would be over more and come straight up rather than coming up at an angle kind of down here, but you're getting really close to your AC lines here, and you've got a rubber coupler here, so that's why I kind of stuck this way a bit. You're driving over here, so you're not in your view too bad. So yeah. Well, the other measurement I was gonna do would be off the block. That would be 10.5. I don't know why. It'd be about 10.5 inches, and then your firewall's really close. Like I'm gonna say, probably 11 inches from your block or your head to the firewall foam would be right about here. So I've got maybe my fingers width gap between this and the sound deadening or the heat carpet, whatever you want to call it. So that's another thing, 10.5 inches. I wouldn't go any more than that. That kind of comes down to how tight of a radius you have on your mandrel bend here. So yeah, I don't know. Overall, probably 15 inches or so from bend to bend. These are nice workable mandrel bends. Chunk of straight pipe, 7.5 inches, 8 inches. Yeah, 8 inches. Little piece of pie, and then just a chunk of scrap off of my 180, but that'd be another 4 inches, so not a whole lot of pipe. I didn't end up needing this 45. I think I said it was a 60 earlier, but that's a 45. So yeah, just these 2 bends, some straight pipe, reducer, and your flange. And then obviously a nice way to connect the two. I don't think you can feed it in here without having a split here. Or if you can, you're gonna have to take this off and it's just gonna be a pain. Now the other thing I'm thinking of doing is making a bracket from here to here, because that'll be down like that on mine. And that'll just kind of stop it from moving around, because these couplers aren't the best. So I'm gonna stick it in the car and we'll get a start up tonight. And if you haven't watched the other video, check it out. That's just some driving fun. So the plan is to cut this hood roughly on the ground, and then we can put it on here and kind of get it around here. So the plan is normally you've got that rubber seal here. So you can see the imprint on here. And then as far as how far over, I'm just going to measure off the fender over to here. And then that'll kind of give us a rough estimate where it needs to be. So I just got back from the first kind of test run. So I cut it down just a little bit shorter so it doesn't stick up so much. And this shakes around a lot, so it's hitting the body as well as the race pipe, makes a pile of noise in the cab. So the plan is I got this little L piece that I made up. I'm going to put it about there, just weld it on the side there, and then the plan is just to put a gear clamp around the race pipe just to kind of hold it there. This isn't necessarily staying on this car, so it'd be nice to kind of make it a little universal. So just a few little tacks to hold that piece on, and it should sturdy it up a lot. There, so it's nice and quiet now. It should hold, I would think. So I think we're should be set.